Good evening, everyone. I'd like to call the Kitty Hawk Town Council meeting to order. It's Monday, October 2nd, 2023, 6 o'clock p.m. in the Kitty Hawk Town Hall. Thank you all for joining us here in person tonight and those that are watching online. If you would join us, if you're able to stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone.
Got somebody took that. Put that pen together.
Council, I need a motion to approve tonight's agenda, please.
So moved.
Motion made by Charlotte, second.
Second.
Second by David. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed. Thank you. Presentation, Kitty Hawk Elementary School Inclusive Playground, Dr. Colby and Macy. You come up, please.
Okay. Hi, my name is Macy Shabbat. I'm here with Kelly Flock and Dr. Lisa Coleman to talk to you a little bit about our playground project coming soon to Kitty Hawk.
So I'm going to start off just talking about why we are doing this project in general. So this idea, short story of a long story, came about because two of our Kitty Hawk students wanted to play on the playground together, one of them being my daughter who has cerebral palsy and uses a walker, at the time a wheelchair, and they couldn't play together. And the other child who had the foresight to go home and say, Mom, I wanted to play with her, but I couldn't get to her. She couldn't get to me. And so they kind of these children brought this matter to our attention, and then we went, yeah, why didn't we notice this at all? And so that kind of got us thinking about, if we're going to do this, what could we do to not just let these two kids play together, but let all of these students play together, let people who are in our community play together, whether that's young kids, whether that's adults, whether that's grandparents, visitors, and if we're going to do this, let's do it right and be, the ones who are kind of setting the precedent for this.
I do want to say that we are representing the Everyone's Playground Steering Committee, and we partnered with Surf Pediatrics Foundation to help with the fundraising side of this as well. So our location is Kitty Hawk Elementary School. It would replace the old playground equipment there. As you all know, or hopefully know, the playground's open after school hours, on the weekends, in the summer. It's not locked, so it's definitely a community playground. Some of our additional reasoning, in addition to the playground needing an update, which Dare County Schools recognized about 5 years ago and allocated a set amount of money aside for upgrades to about 4 elementary school playgrounds. The lack of affordable land in Dare County, there's just no other place right now of this size that's affordable for a place like this. We have baseball fields that are already used by community and county programs. And there's no other universally designed playground in our area. And right now we've got some pretty wide range support from businesses as well as Dare County schools.
So as Macy said, our playground is in dire need of an upgrade. It is still safe, but you can see the only ramping we have, and it happened to be a rainy day, so it looks even sadder. But the point of this photo on the left is that every time it rains, this is on sand and mulch. And we all know we live here. We know what sand does every time it rains, it shifts. And we're having to rearrange these mats just to get to the playground equipment that we currently have. The paint is starting to chip. The mulch is having to be replaced every single year. And so that's an expense that once we build the playground that we're not going to have anymore. And even the children that aren't on wheels, the mulch gets up in their clothes, and it's just not great. Anybody that's tried to landscape here and with a storm, it's not really a great surface, but it's the safest surface that we can have now. And so this is, our dream is to replace every place where there's mulch with a poured rubber surface that the kids can play tag with each other, they can get to every piece of equipment, and most of the equipment is also ramp accessible. So like we said, we want the children to be able to play. We're not going to just make paths. As some of the playgrounds you've seen, they do have paths. We want the kids to be able to play tag with each other, the kids on any kind of wheels. We want, if there are parents or grandparents that want to use this playground on the weekend, that they can access all of the equipment and all of the playground. We hope to be the model. We hope to be the first playground like this, and that other schools or other areas will copy us, so that someday every playground is universally designed, and it's not an exception. It's just the rule. That's how playgrounds will be.
So I'll comment a little bit on the idea of universal design principles. And this definition kind of exemplifies. So universal design is the creation and composition of an environment that can be accessed and understood to the greatest extent by all as independently as possible. And that last portion is, I think, the key feature to a big part of our project. When it comes to being accessible, if something is accessible but it's not able to be accessed independently by a child, it really limits their ability to play, and honestly it limits adults as well. Everyone has been to a playground with children or a child's birthday party, and as soon as they get settled in one area, they all flit like a flock of birds and they move to the next thing. And when you have a child with disabilities, you're lifting that child and you're carrying them to the next thing, and you're setting them down, and then they move away and you're carrying them again, and they can't play. And so the poured in place rubber surfacing that Lisa talked about is a big portion of this, and unfortunately probably the most expensive portion of this. But without it, this is not a universal playground. This is a playground with some accessible equipment that sometimes children will be able to get to, and sometimes they just simply won't. It also happens to hold up a little bit better when it comes to weather. So we'll have this flat uniform material throughout that will be durable and safe and make it accessible. We will have all of the playground equipment, not just portions of the playground, but all of the equipment will be accessible with low ramps that are at a grade that's appropriate, and then also wider entries from multiple points in the playground. And then the other thing that we really thought a lot about, and even in quote-unquote accessible playgrounds you often see, is they put handicapped accessible swings isolated at the end of a swing set or at the other end of the park. So yay, your kid can go swing, not with its friends. And so we really want to intermix things like accessible swings with conventional swings. Again, the multiple access points for these pieces of equipment, so that we're really fostering kids to be able to play kind of organically together. And again, we talked on the last slide about intergenerational families. We have a population that includes not just conventional, parents and children, but grandparents, aunts and uncles, fosters, even visitors that are coming, and we want them to all be able to play together. And sometimes mulch is not great for any of us either. So if a grandparent can't get to play with their child, or a parent that has a stroller with a new baby or a younger kid can't get to a piece of equipment, that also limits their ability to participate.
And I would say, and I know you can read it up here, the most commonly used example of universal design is curb cuts. So the idea that it might have been designed initially for those who use wheelchairs, but it certainly makes life easier when you're pushing a stroller, you have a walker, you're in a walking boot, whatever it might be. So we're certainly moving in the right direction. We've got some pretty diverse support currently from towns, from area businesses, from our local medical community, and of course our Dare County schools and our Kitty Hawk Elementary School principal. You kind of went over this.
Yeah, we kind of went over this already, but we do have, and you guys can kind of see on the screen in the next slide, but then we also have these larger boards with schematics kind of showing what the playground would look like.
We have a playground behind the school that you can't see from the road and one that you can. So we've split those up into 2 phases depending on our fundraising ability and the ability for the playground company to come in and make the updates. It might have to be done in 2 phases.
So we spent a long time going back and forth with the Game Time, who's an approved vendor for our Dare County Schools playgrounds. And we tried to select within the footprint things. For example, this is ramp, and so a child can come up on here. And my favorite is the playground equipment. I'm sorry. My favorite piece of equipment, this is on the playground that you can see, it's next to the ball field that you can see from the road, is this. It's like a big net. And I saw the video and got really excited because there's a ramp inside this net where children can climb on top of the net, under the net, but if you're in a chair, you can climb too because you can grab the ropes and go through with your friends. And so we deliberately chose as a team the equipment that would be fun and not just for kids on wheels, but fun for everybody to play together. And the kids, they really want to play with each other. And they get frustrated when there's kids, they tell us that are left out. And of course, we try really hard to include them, but you know, if you've ever tried pushing a wheelchair or even a wagon through sand or mulch, it's really hard.
And you'll see that this is completely flat. There's no mounds and there's no multi-surfaces. It's one surface. So financing our project, in total, this playground cost is about $800,000. We have about $150,000 right now, and we've got grant funding, individual donors, and business donors currently.
And that's for both playgrounds
For both.
together.
Do you want to do
So we've been communicating, of course, with my supervisors to make sure that it adheres to all codes, completion of appropriate paperwork, all the fundraising requests, everything. And it's the same footprint that the mulch currently covers. We've been working with the Town of Southern Shores to make sure that we're doing this appropriately and in cooperation since we are in the Town of Southern Shores. And the fundraising is all right now going to the nonprofit, which it doesn't cost any money. For example, if you did a GoFundMe, that GoFundMe takes money. The Serve Pediatric Foundation is not taking any of the money. Every dollar goes right towards funding the playground. We hope to break ground this summer. That we really need this. We started this idea before those awful couple of years that we all had, and then when we opened back up, we started again, and we're pretty excited about it, about this project.
Any questions? I don't know if that.
I will say that Dr. Colvin and Macy made contact with Melody and I. We took a tour, and the first thing I said, you realize the school's in Southern Shores, right? And they already knew that. But what we saw, it's actually 2 different playgrounds, need to be replaced. It's outdated, it's rusty, it's dangerous. And I invite you all, if you would like to go up and take a tour yourself, contact someone at the school. I was surprised, to be honest, how bad a shape it's in, and it needs to be replaced. So thank y'all for your efforts.
Can I say one more comment?
Sure.
I also, like you brought up a great point. It's in the Town of Southern Shores, not in Kitty Hawk, but one of the reasons we wanted to come tonight and talk to everyone is because this is an opportunity for us as a community, because this, yes, it will be the school playground, but we want this to be open to the community after hours, on weekends, during holidays, during the summer. And I think it is something that could be really important for our community and for our kids to kind of see that this is important to us, so.
Yeah.
Can I say something?
Sure.
I don't want the perception that Dare County Schools is not replacing its playground equipment. They did give us some money and a route about to replace some equipment and upgrade it. But we had already had the seeds planted by the parents of the 2 girls that couldn't play together. And when Dr. Florence was the principal, he and I started you know, putting together a committee and putting together this dream. And so the surfacing is really what's costing so much money, and why put new equipment and then rip it up to put surfacing? So I want to make sure people know that Dare County Schools isn't neglecting our equipment, that they've agreed to put those funds on hold until we can raise the money for the surfacing and the ramped equipment.
Great. Any questions, council?
No, it's a great idea.
I like it.
Thank you all very much for coming. Great presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to tour the finished playground, not the old
Yeah.
one.
All right, public comment. Lynn, is anyone signed up for public comment?
Yes, sir. Kurt Bascat.
Okay, come on up, Mr. Basket. It's been a while. Nice seeing you, sir.
Eric Garris,
Yes, sir.
council members, new town manager. That's it, anyway. I'm Kurt Basket, live at 3605 Rabbit Hollow. I'm here to make some comments about the proposal on the agenda tonight for the expansion of the building at, I think it's 3600 of Croatan Highway, CRT building. My property backs up to the back of their property. Personally, I have no problem with the proposed expansion. I do have 3 concerns, though, that I'd like to make sure they're addressed properly so I can continue to support this project. 3 issues, is probably 2 of them probably minor. One is stormwater runoff. Since the building is being expanded, that portion of the building that's additional roof line on the west side of the building, which would back up to my property, that's going to be more stormwater runoff. And it's also covering up, the building would cover up some of the paved area, where the runoff in that paved area now is directed towards a stormwater retention basin or infiltration basin. Now it would be on the property itself. I just want to make sure that you all, when you look at the plans or whatever, that there's not more water. It's somehow the design be such that the water coming off the west side of the roof be captured by a gutter system and taken out to either the ditches on the east side of the building or on the west takeway side of the building, not back on to the back of the property, which would drain towards my property, which is a very low area. That whole area there, the Kitty Hawk drainage basin, tends to flood, and we don't need more water back there than what we're getting normally. Okay. The second thing is probably minor. That's the sanitation part of it. Even if you're increasing the size of the building by a third, I don't know if, I understand it's for storage purposes and not additional personnel or bathrooms or whatever, but there is, and there's a need to increase the drainage field. I would request consideration be the drainage field be extended either north or south, not to the west. We don't need more sanitary discharge toward our properties back there. We have a big enough problem as it is.
Your time's up, sir.
Is my time up already?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Third issue is the main issue I'm here tonight, is the vegetation cover. When I talked to Mr. Testerman before I got here today, it's the first time I heard this meeting.
Make it quick, sir. Your time is up.
Pardon me?
Make it quick. Your time is up.
Time's up. Talked to Mr. Testerman today and talked about the vegetation border. When Gateway Bank was there, prior to CRT, there was a vegetation barrier between my property and the bank property. Large, I think it was mainly Russian olive bushes. You know, if you're familiar with them, they get very big. And it provided both a visual barrier and a noise barrier from the highway traffic on the bypass road. When CRT took over at some point, they tore down that
Mr. Basket, I hate to be rude, but your time is way up. We got to keep to the 3 minutes.
I'd ask that you look at the drawings. I
Yes.
believe that you'll find that a barrier is required by the permit with Gateway Bank, and it should have been covered with CRT. I just ask that in this expansion, that we put up a barrier, not a fence, but some kind of vegetation barrier that provides both noise and visibility buffer between us.
All right, thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you. Lena, is anyone else signed up?
No, sir.
Okay, does anyone else like to speak at this public comment about any subject, any topic tonight? Let the record show no one else chose to speak. Counselor, I need a motion to adopt tonight's consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion made by Lynn, second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? We had no items removed from the consent agenda. Public hearing, item 8A, section 42-51. Council, I need a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Motion made by-
Second.
Second by Lynn. All in favor?
Aye.
We are in public hearing.
All right, as you noted, the proposed amendment is to section 42-581, that's signs in the public right-of-way or on public property. The current language in the ordinance reads, permitted signs in the public right-of-way or public property. Public signs erected by or on behalf of a governmental body to post legal notices, identify public property, convey public information, and direct or regulate pedestrian or vehicular traffic. The proposed changes would add language stating that such public signs may include digital message board signage and may be in addition to standard signage permitted by this chapter. Such signage shall be located so that it does not impede line of sight at any intersection. So currently, signage is limited to one freestanding sign per property with a few exceptions. The proposed amendment would allow for governmental agencies to place an additional sign to be used for public messaging on public property, like town hall property or the police department building, fire department. The proposal also dictates that digital message boards are permitted in these scenarios. This would allow for governmental agencies to rapidly disperse public messages and information that could include public safety information. And the planning board, you can see the bolded lettering in the proposed language was recommendations from the planning board, recommended changing shall to may in order to convey that the sign is not required to be a digital message board, and the language on the line of sight at intersections. September 14th meeting, the planning board unanimously recommended approval with the changes noted in the staff report. And that's all I've got on that. If you got any questions?
Thank you, Rob. Council, anyone have questions of Rob during public hearing?
No, sir.
Does anyone here would like to speak during this section of public hearing tonight? Okay, anything else, Council? Need a motion to go out of public hearing and go back in a regular session, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second by Lynn. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Council, we're back in regular session. What would you like to do with this matter?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the proposed text amendment to section 42-581 as presented in this staff report. The town council finds this proposal to be consistent with the town's adopted land use plan.
Thank you, Jeff. You have a second? Second by Charlotte. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Thank you. Okay, 9A, we've got a text amendment that we've been discussing for some time regarding outdoor gatherings, events. Rob?
All right. As you'll remember, in August, we first reviewed the changes to the outdoor gathering events and temporary uses and temporary markets. There were portions of it that were sent back to the planning board to address some public safety concerns. Language was added in the attachments to your staff report. You can see the bold language that for the temporary outdoor markets, any tents or canopies associated with the market must be secured to resist any movement during wind, and the drive aisles and parking areas to be being utilized for the temporary markets shall be closed to vehicular traffic. And similar language was added into the outdoor events and gathering language under subsection C7, B, and E. Those were the two changes that were, or concerns that were raised at the August meeting, so nothing else has changed from what you saw those couple months ago, so I will turn it over to the board for any questions.
Thank you, Robin. And I will say once more, you and Jeff Pruitt, Planning Board and Subcommittee have put in a lot of hard work on this topic right here, so thank you for your work. Council, any questions for Rob? Any comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion. And we've got two different motions, as you can see.
I move to approve the text amendment to section 42-502, section 6, allowing temporary outdoor art markets as described in the provided language. The town council finds this proposal to be consistent with the town adopted land use plan.
Can I get a second on this motion alone?
Second?
Second by Lynn. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, number 2, revised section 18-11, outdoor events and gatherings.
I move to approve the proposed text amendment to section 1811, revising the regulations pertaining to outdoor events and gatherings. The council has found this proposal to be consistent with the town's adopted land use plan.
Thank you, Lynn. Can you get a second?
Second.
Second by Charlotte. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Thank you, council. Item 9B, regarding a site plan review, 3600 North Croatan Highway.
All right. As you heard during the public comment, there's a site plan modification request for 3600 North Croatan Highway. It's the CRT Sales and Services Building. The applicant has submitted a request to add 4,194 square feet of storage area to the existing 11,005 square feet of commercial structure. The structure there was originally constructed as a bank. Several years ago, CRT Sales and Services located their business in the location. The previous addition was constructed to close off the drive-through area and convert it into workspace, which is shown kind of as the purple area on the attached site plan on the screen. Per section 42-99, because the proposed addition is greater than 15% of the existing structure, the site plan modification must be reviewed by the planning board and town council. You can see it's located in the BC1 district. Largest, or we set a limit of commercial structure size of 25,000 square feet in the BC1. You can see this proposal comes to around 15,000, a little over 15,000 square feet, making that compliant with that requirement. Proposed lot coverage was not provided by the applicant on this. A survey dated August 1st, 2002 from the original bank development indicated that the existing lot coverage would be 60%. So the proposed addition, the majority of it is going over existing asphalt, so not changing the lot coverage in most of the respect. There is a portion towards the front of the building that would be new coverage, but the applicant has also indicated that the asphalt to the north of the building would be coming out. So no COs would be issued until an as-built was submitted showing that it was compliant with the 60% lot coverage regulation. And we do allow additional lot coverage if some of the existing concrete on site or asphalt was converted into permeable pavement. So if there is any issue there, the owner could address it in that manner. Building height, the exact proposed, or the proposed total height of the addition was not provided. However, the elevation drawings show the proposed new walls to be lower than what the existing total height is. Setbacks, the BC1 district requires a 10-foot side setback, which is shown in the site plan in relation to the proposed addition, and also requires a 50-foot separation of commercial structures to an adjacent residential zone, That 50-foot setback line is also shown on the site plan. Minimum front setback of 15 feet, however, there's no change in the front of the building there. Wastewater, to address the public comment, no building permits would be issued until we get a copy of the septic permit from Dare County Environmental Health. I don't know that we have much say as to where the septic drain fields go. We kind of go with whatever the county permits for the septic permits. And for the buffer, there was a requirement in the original approval for the Gateway Bank for a type A or B vegetative buffer per section 42-649. At some point over the years, that buffer has been taken down, so staff would recommend as a condition of approval for this site plan that the vegetative buffer be replaced or replanted. And then issue with stormwater, we will also check with the state to make sure there's no revised stormwater permits that would be needed. And I guess that could be a condition of approval also, that any stormwater runoff created by the addition be directed to the existing stormwater basin.
Very good. Mr. Baskett made some very good points there. It sounds like the vegetation has been taken care of. The stormwater runoff and sanitation, at some point, if it's not correct, the permit will not be approved, correct?
Right. We'll need the county from Dare, or the permit from Dare County Environmental Health prior to issuing a building permit that would address the septic issues. I don't know offhand if the state would require a revised stormwater permit, since it's not really increasing the lot coverage or impermeable pavement on here. But I believe, in case you could weigh in, I think if we could make a condition of approval that any stormwater runoff generated from the addition be directed to the existing basins.
Sure, I don't see an issue with that. That's fine. And as for the vegetative buffer, Mayor, I don't think there's one out there right now. If I heard you right, Rob, you're saying that as part of this plan, their recommendation would be that you guys require the replanting of what once was there, what vegetative buffer was once there. So it is addressed, though. You're absolutely right.
Yes.
I have a comment. So this applicant submitted this, but with no calculations on anything that's going in and taken out. I mean, I'm kind of having a hard time why he would wait till the end to do that. And he doesn't have the Dare County Health Department.
Right. Well, I mean, he didn't need to go to the septic or the health department at this point, because he's just asking for the zoning approval at this point.
Right.
And I mean, yeah, as far as the lot coverage, because the majority of the area going in is on existing asphalt, existing concrete, it's very little that's changing as far as lot coverage. So, it'll be reflected on the as-built. If it's over 60% when it comes in, then he's not gonna submit an as-built showing over 60%, because he's gonna have to take asphalt out and change out some of the standard pavement for permanent pavement. So it's something that, it's helpful at the front end, but it can be addressed on the back end as well.
I mean, I can't even tell who did this rendering on the site, on this right here. What?
I don't recall.
I mean, it's fine. I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't do all that groundwork up front. You know where it's going, so go ahead and calculate it all and come on it. So it's more of a comment from me than it is anything else.
Right. And if council would prefer to have those numbers in front, you can table and get those like before the approval, or we can handle it the as-built.
Council, I'll leave it up to you.
Well, the as-built will show the correct numbers.
Correct.
And Rob, that would be another chance for Councilman Hines to address those particular issues if he wanted.
Yeah.
Okay. Not trying to sway you, just wanted to point it out.
No, I mean, I'm not trying to hold his project up. I just think I just wouldn't have submitted it this way personally. So more of a comment for me.
Any more questions for Rob, Council?
One more comment, though. I do think there needs to be a vegetated buffer put in
Definitely.
Yep,
because there's residential houses behind it.
it's there. I agree with you. I agree with you.
And if the vegetation is there, that should help absorb some of the runoff. on its way back towards
Right.
the other residential properties.
Okay. Jeff, you got a,
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, I move to grant approval of this site plan modification for 4,190 square foot addition to the structure located at 36,000 North Croatan Highway. I'd like to also add that the buffer be a condition to be replaced where the existing buffer was, and I would also like to the stormwater to be directed into the existing stormwater management for that property.
good motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Lynn. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Very good. Mr. Basket, how's that sound to you, sir?
Sounds good, thank you, sir.
Thank you for coming. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, council, item 9C, we need to schedule a public hearing, council.
You looking for a motion?
Yep.
I'll make one. I move to set a public hearing at the town council meeting on November 6, 2023 to consider the proposed text amendments to section 42-41B. 414B, excuse me.
Very good.
414.
Second by Lynn. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Item 10, new business. It's time to make recommendations to the Dare County Tourism Board. Councilman Hines' term will expire December 2023. He has expressed a desire to stay on the board for another 2-year term. Thank you. Thank you, but we have to submit 3 names
Submit mine.
in order of preference. Very nice.
Go ahead, submit mine.
That's everybody except for you.
3 names are Councilman Hines, number 1, myself, number 2, Councilwoman Charlotte Walker, number 3. Do we need a motion for that, Casey?
Sure. Let's go ahead and make it.
Mayor, I move.
In
that-
that order, if you just specify in the order.
Mr. Mayor, I move to present Councilman David Hines as first choice and followed by Mayor Garris and Councilman Walker.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Tourism Board, please pick Councilman David Hines.
What's that?
And if not, please put Craig James.
Hey, it's not about
There's a
me.
lot of work there, isn't it?
Okay, reports from Town Manager Melody.
Well, good evening, everyone. I wanted to start off with a police department building update. We have received the 35% design submittal from Dills Architects. The submittal includes preliminary floor plans, site plans, and mechanical, electrical, and plumbing system design, as well as cost estimates for the project. Members of the staff, along with Councilman Hines, met on Friday to review the submittal. The proposed floor plan generally meets the current and future needs of the police department. There are several items in the system design that need to be addressed. We've also requested that Dills identify areas for cost savings, provide value engineering now and throughout the next phase of the process to reduce cost, maintain functionality, and stay within the town's budget for this project. We will be providing our feedback to Dills on or before October 10th so that this project can remain on schedule. The next step will be the 90% submittal, which will include generally the construction documents. We expect to receive those documents by mid-December and hope that the bidding process will start in early February. Also, just upcoming town activities. Fall chipping is October 9th. Visit the town's website for more information on that. Our police and fire departments will be representing the town this Saturday at the Oink and Oyster Roast. This event is sponsored by the First Flight Rotary and will be held between 12 and 4 here in Kitty Hawk at Longboards. National Fire Prevention Week is October 8th through October 14th, next week. The Kitty Hawk Fire Department will be at Home Depot on October 14th between 10 and 2. They'll be providing education and demonstrations on all kinds of topics, including hands-only CPR, stop the bleed, dryer safety, vehicle extrication, and much, much more. Just a reminder, the League of Women Voters is sponsoring a municipal election candidate forum. The Town of Kitty Hawk's forum will be Tuesday, October 10th at 7 p.m. here at Town Hall. This meeting is also live streamed and recorded. The Outer Banks Hospital will be here on site Wednesday, October 25th to provide free flu shots. That will be between 1:30 and 4:30 p.m. In addition, they can also do wellness screenings, which include cholesterol, blood pressure, heart rate, blood sugar, body mass, and communities and employees and community members can stop by. An appointment is recommended but not required. Everything is free and there's no insurance that needs to be provided. And then lastly, due to the November municipal elections on November 7th, our November 6th town council meeting will begin at 5:00 p.m. so that the election folks can get in and set up the equipment. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Melody.
Thank you.
Casey?
I'm making a reminder about the 5. I'll forget it. Sorry.
We'll remind you.
No, I've got nothing, just like you guys like it for me.
Thank you, Casey.
That just means we're not doing anything wrong.
It's impressive.
Reports from town council. I'd like to start off, council, with some comments. First of all, I'd like to thank all the departments that worked hard on the emergency operations plan that we've got. A lot of hard work here. I'd like to thank everyone who's been working on the police station project. I think we're all a little, hey, when we're going to see something happening, but we've got a process to follow. I think I've aggravated Melody to death, and she keeps calming me down. She does a great job. It's just frustrating to ride by and see nothing happening, but we have to follow a process, and that's what we're doing. And I know, David, you're on that committee also, so thank you all for what you're doing. In our consent agenda tonight, item 6E was a resolution in support of maintaining local governmental authority and affordable housing. I'd like to make a statement, please. Regarding the resolution, item 6E of tonight's consent agenda pertaining to affordable housing, a provision was included in this year's state budget that would strip certain powers from local governments, in particular Kitty Hawk and the other 5 municipalities in Dare County. This provision was included in the 2023 NC budget without the prior knowledge of any of the towns. By the time we found out about it, it was too late. The bill specifically targets how Dare County municipalities govern affordable housing projects. The ruling would exempt new construction of affordable housing from municipal and zoning regulations, which include public hearings, setback, and height limitations. In short, in order to obtain and build affordable housing in Dare County, a company or contractor can come into our towns and not have to abide by regulations that we already have in place that were approved by this council and other councils in the past. This is wrong. Kitty Hawk has joined with other towns in Dare County to keep this legislation from being implemented and to hopefully omit this provision in the future. We will fight, but we will not be fighting against anybody, any person, someone. Instead, we will be fighting for the citizens of Kitty Hawk, the town of Kitty Hawk. I encourage everyone in Kitty Hawk to contact your local senators, representatives, and Dare County officials to voice your opposition to this legislation. I recently spoke with Dare County Manager Bobby Agnew to show my support for the creation of some sort of task force that would include members of each town and also from Dare County that would meet to address and discuss the housing issue in Dare County. I certainly hope the creation of that group comes to fruition. This may end up being a long, drawn-out legal battle. I'm not sure. But in the meantime, the town of Kitty Hawk will continue to operate as usual and only approve plans and proposals that meet our current regulations already in place pertaining to zoning, setbacks, and height limitations. I have the very highest wishes that the towns, Dare County, and the state can all to come together to address the housing issue. Thank you. Jeff?
Okay, first of all, you know, we've worked on the outdoor gatherings and the event sites and food carts. And we had a committee that worked on that for quite a while, and I'd like to thank all the members of the committee for participating. It helped Rob and I work with finally putting this ordinances, cleaning them up and go ahead and getting them on the books. And so I'm glad to get that over, and I'd like to thank everybody that helped. I'm just going to say one thing. Craig, thank you very much for bringing this up. And to the people of Kitty Hawk, we're going to have to start speaking up. I mean, it's to the point where they're actually taking your local politicians' power to govern our own community, and something's not right here. That's it.
Thank you, Jeff. Charlotte?
I second that. I was very disappointed to find out that had happened. And I'm glad you're being proactive and going to help get this straightened out. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. Lynn?
Yeah, I thank you very much for putting that all together. Very concise and thoughtful, and making sure everybody understands. Kitty Hawk has traditions and height limits, our densities. These things have all been worked on and worked out for the people of Kitty Hawk. And it may not be what anybody anywhere else in the state understands. Kitty Hawk needs to remain Kitty Hawk. And the other municipalities need to have the same consideration, and the state needs to let us do what we have been doing very well. Thank you very much for putting that together.
Thank you, Lynn. Dave?
I just wanted to say one other thing. When I was reading the emergency operating plan, I was reading the preparations for the police department, what everybody had to go through. And the one paragraph that outlined boxing up all the paper and records and moving to the second floor. And all I could think of is, oh, won't it be great to delete that section out of that emergency plan? So that's what I'm really looking forward to, is seeing that section go bye-bye.
Goodbye. I agree. Thank you, Lynn. David?
I don't have anything this evening, thank you.
All right, and I want to add, when we first found out about the legislation housing issue, I touched base with each council member, and we weren't all 100% together, we were 200% together. And that's the way we need to be. So, council, thank you. Thank you all very much. Folks, we now need to go into a closed session to discuss a matter, which means everyone in the room will have to leave. At the conclusion of the closed session, we will be returning back in here for a short regular session. So, if you would, please exit the room. Thank you for all coming, and I'll make the motion just a minute.
You don't have to leave, you have to stay.
Mr. Leidy, would you please make the presentation regarding the changes to the Town of Kitty Hawk personnel policy?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor. Yes, sir. So, Mr. Mayor, the manager and I have worked on a policy that would, well, an amendment to your personnel policy that would apply to your current retiree health insurance program. And this would change the policy with these specific and important features. First, for employees who were hired before January 1 of 2005, the town would now pay the full retiree medical premium until the retiree turns age 65. And then at 65, the town would pay the full premium for the retiree to be on the town's Medicare supplement policy. Secondly, for those retirees who had been hired between January 2 of 2005 and January 3 of 2013, the town would pay the full retiree medical premium until the retiree turns 65. And then, at 65, the retiree could join on the town's Medicare supplement policy, but the town would pay a premium based on a 50, 75%, and 100% schedule, like you have in effect right now. And then finally, for those retirees hired after January 3 of 2013, the town would pay the retiree medical premium based on the 50, 75, 100% schedule until the retiree turns 65, but at that point, the retiree would not be eligible to join on the town's Medicare supplement policy. So those are the nature of the changes that we made to the policy. Did I leave anything out, Madam?
I don't think so.
Good. Council, any discussion, any questions? Mr. Leidy?
Mr. Mayor, I recommend a motion to approve the changes to the Town of Kitty Hawk's personnel policy, Article X, employee benefits as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any more business, council?
Mr.
Mayor, if I may now recite the terms from the settlement agreement that the council approved in closed session.
Yes.
So, in connection with the pending lawsuit brought by James Ray Watts against the town has approved a settlement that's already been agreed to by Mr. Watts, by which Mr. Watts would be allowed to continue in the retiree medical program that the town has and would be able to join in the part of the policy that you all have just adopted. The town would also that means he would pay for his full medical premium until he turns 65, and then for his premium to be on the retiree supplemental Medicare policy. In addition to that, he would be paid the sum of $15,000. In exchange, he's giving a complete and general release of any and all claims against the town, and the lawsuit will be dismissed.
Thank you, Mr. Leidy.
And also, while in closed session, Mayor, we did enter for the purposes of approving past minutes as of closed session as stated in the agenda.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further business, council?
Yes, sir.
If not, I will make a motion that we adjourn until November 6, 2023 at 5 o'clock p.m.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Hey,